ॐ निरञ्जनं नित्यमनन्तरूपं भक्तानुकम्पाधृतविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमिड्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामः. Welcome to our study of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, Kshetra Vibhaga Yoga, the discrimination between the field and the knower of the field. Prakriti and Purusha. That's the subject matter of this particular chapter. And we are, I think, just a bit beyond the halfway mark. So looking at verses 18 onwards today, I think, 19 onwards. But before we go, are there any questions from anyone who would like to ask?
Swamiji, could you explain or make a flow chart as you'd normally do, explaining Purusha, Prakriti, Maya, and with Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, Maya, the flow of that.
A diagrammatic representation.
Diagrammatic, yes.
Okay, so let us do it collectively. All right, put your thinking heads on from what we have discussed, and as I try to start plotting things in there, you can help me sharing your ideas, being part of the exercise rather than just me doing it here. So up to verse 18, from I think 13 to 18, Shri Krishna was talking more about the knowledge part of it. And from 19 onwards, he has introduced this new idea of Prakriti, new terminology in there. We had a look at it in the Sankhya presentation of it. So I will just read these three verses and then we'll try to collectively put that into a picture form. So the verse 19 is Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadhi Ubhau Api. No, Vidhi Ubhau, both Prakriti, nature, as also Chaiva Purusham, the individual soul, as beginningless. They are independent entities and beginningless. And also, no, the vikaran. Vikara means the modifications that are happening, as also the gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. These three are attributes or born out of Prakriti. So, that is one verse. These two are sort of linked. And then there are two types of activities, two types of events that are happening. One is bhoktritva, enjoyment. The other is kartritva, doership. So all of us have this idea that I'm doing something, and when the results come to us, either if it's good, then we are happy. If it's not so good, we feel miserable. But we are doers and enjoyers of the results. So there is this abhimana, I am the doer. Abhimana means I am. Kartritva abhimana means I am the doer. Bhoktritva abhimana, I am the enjoyer. So, and that's, we feel that we are one entity. Somehow, I'm a physical body, I'm a mental body, I'm an Indian ego, and I'm doing all those things, and I'm enjoying all those things. It's all mixed up. So, in this verse 20th, Sri Krishna tries to make a distinction because the chapter is about vibhaga, separation. They are not really all one combined product. They are two entities. And he says, Karya Karan Kartritve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate. Kartritve, with regard to the cause of the body, and the Karana. Karana are these 13 organs, 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, mind, buddhi, manabuddhi, ahankara. These 13 and the body. For this, Hetu, the cause, is Prakriti. And he says separately, Purusha is the one who is the cause, Hetu, so far as Bhoktritva, enjoyership of Sukha and Dukkha. So he has separated the two. There are two things are there, not everything mixed up. There is a Kartritva that is attributed to Prakriti. There is Bhoktritva that is attributed to Purusha. So a type of separation is being told, which we'll try to capture in the drawing. And the third one is Purusha Prakriti Sthohi Bhungte Prakritir Jnan Gunan Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Asangasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu. So, since the Purusha is seated in Prakriti or nature, therefore it enjoys the qualities born of nature. Contact with the gunas is the cause of the birth of the Jivatma in good and evil wombs. So, even though there are two separate entities, Prakriti with the Kartritva function, Purusha with the Bhoktritva function, but the two, out of ignorance, have come together and are interacting with each other. And this interaction or engagement is what is the cause of this cycle of samsara. So, Purusha Prakriti Stithohi. Sthita means seated in. Sthita. Yeah. So, since the Purusha, that means the individual soul or the Jivatma in this case, is seated in nature, therefore, it enjoys the qualities, gunan, manifest as happiness, sorrow, and delusion, which are actually born out of nature. So, the changes are happening in nature, but since it is in connection with the Prakriti, it begins to enjoy those changes and thinks I'm the enjoyer. I'm the enjoyer. Guna Sangha Guna Sangha means contact with the gunas, three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, is karanam, the cause, asya, its janmasu, births, sad, asad, in good and evil, yoni means the wombs. So let us, the last one, contact with the gunas is the cause of the birth of the Jivatman in the good and evil wombs. So let us roll it back and then try to capture the drawing. So let us say this first one, Purusha, Prakritim Purusha Cheva Vidhi Anadi Gunanapi. So let us say there are two entities, one is Purusha and one is Prakriti. And how do I represent the Purusha? Let us say it's something like this. One, and there's another entity, let us say that's Prakriti, and that is a separate entity. So we have to denote that as a separate entity again. And I'm trying to do a 3D thing, so give a 3D picture. Okay, so we have represented this idea that there are two entities, Prakriti and Purusha, and they are anadi, beyond time. We can't represent that in space time. Then it says vikaranscha gunancheva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. So it says, know the modifications as also the gunas to be born of nature, Maya. Okay, tell, where do you think, how should we represent that particular idea? Anyone out there?
Swamiji, can you repeat the question?
So I have represented the first part of the verse, okay, which I say Purusha, Prakriti. Purusha and Prakriti are two independent entities, and I have given two rectangles. One is Purusha and the Prakriti. Then the second part of the sutra says, a verse says, the modifications. Okay, now the modifications as also the gunas to be born of nature. Okay, so there are two things are there. This is nature, Prakriti, and there are two elements there, modifications as also the gunas.
So I think that's also part of Prakriti, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a Prakriti, so it has to be done in blue. Okay, so let's say I have to use a blue ink because it's part of Prakriti. Next thing, there are two entities there, gunas. Okay, so the three gunas are there, sattva, rajas, and tamas. somehow that has to be represented on the blue box. And also the modifications. Modifications are actually modifications of the gunas. So how do you think we can represent that?
The modifications of gunas, does it mean that sattva guna modifies to rajas?
So later in other part of the Bhagavad Gita, you will come across where Sri Krishna explains that the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Okay, so let us say sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sometimes the sattva is predominant and it subjugates, overpowers the tamas and the rajas. At other times, the rajas becomes more powerful and sattva and tamas are subjugated. And at other times, tamas becomes predominant and tamas and sattva are subjugated, or rajas and sattva.
Can we explain the three as the many? They are many permutations of these three in Maya.
So this is a triangle with a circle in the center, and imagine it rotates around that center. All right. And as it spins out, one of them will be predominant, and which is on the upper side, and other will come down. So in our everyday experience, we find that sometimes we are feeling very sattvic, like in the morning when you get up, it's all fresh, and mind is very light and cheerful and all that. That means the sattva element is very good in the morning. That's a meditation time. In the middle of the day, you find that rajas element has become very strong, and now you are full of activity and you want to do something, this and that. And when you come back, you're tired sitting down, or evening time, then the tamas element has become very predominant, and you're drowsy and tired and just want to lie down or go to sleep. So in everyone, these are modification. They're not like constant. One is sattvic and sattvic only. Different time, different situation, it moves. So this permutation and combinations constantly happen. It's not static, it's dynamic. All right. So this play of the three gunas are there, and they are part of the prakriti. So we can probably transport the triangle inside here, isn't it? And put it here. That within this prakriti is made out of, maybe we don't draw that as a rectangle. We draw that as a triangle. How's that? So Purusha is a rectangular thing, and this is what happened? Come on. So this is like a spinning wheel. Okay. And how do I get better grip out of it? It's not only the three corners. So this is your sattva, this is your rajas, and this is your tamas, and the triangle spins, and at one time one of them is more than the other. And so that it is changing, maybe we can give another expression to it using the idea that this is like rotating. So that is the idea, that it is constantly modifying, but made of the three gunas. What do you think? Is a good capturing of that verse? Anyone with some ideas?
I think this is good, because you talk about white light, which has all the colors. And in science, we used to read the prism through which this white light passes, and it shows all the colors. So Prakriti can be that prism, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, the Prakriti or nature or Maya is represented as a triangle. And Sri Ramakrishna, in his in one of his spiritual experiences, as well as Swami Vivekananda says that at the highest level from where this whole universe is projected, that divine, what you call cosmic feminine power, which manifests this whole universe, whole Brahmanda, is called Brahma Yoni. and that is represented or seen as a golden triangle. In the spiritual experience, I said it's like a golden triangle out of which, just like you blow some soap bubbles through that film, when children are playing soap bubbles, you have, suppose, imagine a triangular piece of metal frame, and then you blow into it and all these bubbles are coming out. Likewise, whole universes keep on coming out of this, the cosmic womb, Brahma Yoni, means out of which Brahmandas are created. And this is experienced by rishis in that highest state of, just when the mind is about to come out of samadhi. At that point, they hear that sound Om. Okay, so this is one representation. Know that nature as well as the individual soul to be verily without beginning. So, and know the modifications as well as the gunas to be born of nature. Okay, so you happy with this representation?
Yeah.
All right. Then it says, let's build on that. So, karya karan kartritve hetu prakriti ruchyate. So now it's talking about the prakriti, and it says karya karan. Karya means the body, and karan means the 13 organs. These prakriti is the hetu. Prakriti is the cause. That means in this blue triangle, somewhere we have to represent or label that the blue triangle consists of Karya and Karana. Get rid of these triangles here. Know that this is a sort of spinning triangle of Prakriti. Okay, Karya Karan. So let us say, or we can just even say right next to it, the Prakriti nature says body. Body here does not only mean physical body, it means the subtle body and the causal body, all the bodies, Karya. Karan are the senses, 13 organs rather. Okay, and they are all part of this Prakriti. But this is the individual Prakriti, remember. And this is the individual, that means Jivatma. So all of us have a Prakriti, means that is how we are constituted physically, mentally. And then there is the Mahaprakriti, which is the cosmic nature of which we are a part of it. All right. Can you get that? So imagine there is a river is flowing, and within the river, there are so many whirlpools. And each one of us is a little whirlpool, which is circulating around, and in different directions. Each one has got its own signature and characteristic, and that is the jiva. In that way, we have to see. So, karya karan kartritve hetu prakriti ruchyate. Karya is the body, karan 13 organs that are there, 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, mind, body, ego, 13 of them. They are produced by Prakriti. So if it is produced by Prakriti, is it the right place to put there? So it's a product, isn't it? And they have to be within Prakriti, not outside Prakriti. So we have to bring it inside then. So we say body is a, and all right. Any improvement to that? Some people are not saying. And the next one is, yeah, someone was saying something.
No, I think I had a question, but I'll probably ask it later because.
Okay. As you see, representing this on a two-dimensional thing is not very easy, but let's try anyway. At least give a picture to it. And then Purusha, Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktritve Heturuchyate. So, Okay, another thing we have to say is in Prakriti is the doership, isn't it? Doership is a quality of Prakriti, and Purusha, he has got a enjoyership. Bhoktritve of what? Happiness and misery. Purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktritve heturuchyate. Okay, got that idea captured in there? Anyone would like to add to that? I think all of you should put your mic on.
So, Swamiji, why is Prakriti feminine?
Prakriti is feminine. Why it is feminine, my friend? I don't know. It just is.
Okay.
Yeah, because feminine is the power, the creative power. Okay. All right. Feminine power is the mother power, the creatrix. So since she is creating the whole universe, nourishing it, Srishti Sthiti Vinasha, that is why she is called as feminine power, mother power.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So very good. I think we've
It's
got that.
symbolic, isn't it, Swamiji?
Well, let's.
Prakriti is, huh?
Yeah. Well, is it just symbolic or is really is the feminine power? So when Sri Ramakrishna worshipped the Divine Mother as Mother Kali, he said Mother, no? And she actually is the mother.
Well, in Hinduism, there are different theories, no, about. So Shakti, Shakti is the part of Shiva, and then Shiva, the feminine part of it's the creation.
Yeah.
So that way, overall, it's probably a symbol that, no.
So at the highest level, the Purusha and Prakriti are two aspects of the same reality,
Yes,
But
yes.
so from Sri Ramakrishna's teaching, he says that infinite reality, when it is in the potential state, not involved in any activity, then it's called Brahman, just like a lake that is without any waves. But when the same lake has become in so many waves, then is in the process of creating, preserving, and absorbing the universe, then I call that same being as the mother. And Brahman and Shakti are two aspects of the same reality, that they're not really two, they are one. It's just where we are and how we experience them. Since we are jivas embodied we are in the realm of Shakti, and that's why we need the mother's grace for liberation. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, so let's roll to the next one. Purusha Prakriti Sthito Hi. Okay, so now we have got something about a relationship. It's not there two separate entities living in two different rooms. Have nothing to do with each other. No, they are interacting with each other. And how are they interacting? Purusha is seated in nature. Purusha means the Jivatma is seated in nature. Sthito hi. And since it is seated there, it is going some experiences. What is that? Bhungte, it enjoys. Enjoys what? The qualities. What qualities? The happiness, sorrow, and misery that we talked about. That's what the Purusha is doing. And which are Prakriti Jan, means they're born of nature. So this is an idea that the Purusha is the enjoyer. It has the enjoyership, bhoktritva, but it cannot be, it is not enjoying himself. It requires the Prakriti to be enjoyed. And that Prakriti is the source of happiness, sorrow, and misery. And that experience comes when the Purusha and the Prakriti interact. Is that the idea? Okay, so Purusha Prakriti Sthohi Bhumte Prakriti Jan Gunan. Since the Purusha is seated in Prakriti, therefore it enjoys the qualities born of nature. Let us try to capture that idea in the drawing. Since the Purusha is seated in Prakriti, therefore it enjoys the qualities born of nature. Right, so let's roll this further up and say, now there's a relationship between the two. They're not separate anymore. They're overlapping, they're connecting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can add probably a square inside, like as an Atman. I mean,
Now we remove this fellow in the red on the left hand side because he's no longer separate. Now he is interacting, all right. So we translate this Purusha and say, why don't you, my friend, come and be here? It has got its distinction, which is represented by different colors. But now the Purusha is seated in Prakriti and Bhunkte Prakriti Jan Guna. How's that? Is it all right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we get rid of this. He is no longer separated. Now he is married to Prakriti. Okay, and that's the experience there. Okay, is that a good representation? There's a small box, so it should be the bigger box. Is it within Prakriti or is it overlapping Prakriti? Is it really seated or is it floating on top of it? How do you think?
I think it's kind of merged. Both are merged together.
If they're
So there is.
if they're totally merged, then just like if you merge.
Purusha cannot be there, Swamiji, totally. Purusha is a separate entity. It's in and is there and is not there also. No?
So that's what I'm saying. If it is merged, then like you merge water and milk, afterwards there's no distinction. So it's not like that. Now, is it something like one is seated below and the other one is floating on top of it type of thing? That means it's above it, but has some connection,
Outside
but still, but outside it also. How do you think?
So from lines of, sorry,
maybe overlapping each other.
Overlapping? That's overlapping.
Put a diagram overlapping. Yes.
So
Part of it coming.
So this is, let us say, our plane view. Okay. Okay. So this is our plane view. That means looking from top. Now, if we try to make another view of it, say side view. Okay. So here's Prakriti. Seen as a triangle. And then we get the Purusha, my friend, who is sitting above it. How's that? So some connection is there, overlapping.
Swamiji, because I don't know, because this is individual Prakriti. So in every individual Prakriti, there is that Atman sitting inside. So there is that cosmic Prakriti and the cosmic Purusha, which is outside, definitely of Prakriti, individual Prakriti. But the one inside, I don't know, that's my understanding.
Okay, so here that makes us think a little bit. It's not like physical thing. Two pieces of solid objects there. All right. So the nature of Prakriti, that it is all this material universe, right, from Brahma Loka to Meta. Purusha is not a material thing, isn't it? It is even its energy, but at the highest, finest energy. So it can coexist and yet be separate. Who can give an example of this coexistence and still being separate? That means located in the same space, but different.
The television?
That's a very good example. So just like a TV signals that are there, they all occupy the same space and yet they are different signals, and you tune to receive the one you're tuned to. So the Purusha is energy, but at a final level, and other than that, whatever is the gross is Prakriti, and they have some interaction overlapping, but they still maintain their own individual identity. See, the problem is when you try to capture the subtle ideas in a drawing, at some point we're getting it in the head, but how to represent it there. So long we say, okay, we understand, or how do we do this? Maybe we get rid of that idea, and the Purusha is not there. Anyone? How about this idea?
That will be better, I think.
But it seems to be overwhelming, the Prakriti, if it is.
All right, so very good. So let's reverse that then and say, okay, you get out of there. Okay, let's get rid of this altogether and have Prakriti bigger. Okay, so that's Prakriti. And then we say, hey, my poor Purusha is sitting in.
Put the red on top, Swamiji, and then.
No, why don't you overlap it? The red should be above the box, but it should be
half of it above.
Half above and half inside the blue box.
All right. Okay. Good. Good.
So there will be a common. So that there will be a common. Common idea.
So you mean same size box or different size box?
Same size box, but half of the red one should be inside the blue box. Yeah.
How's that? Like that?
Yeah. That's right.
So some of the qualities are shared by Prakriti. Quality is shared by the Purusha. The Purusha.
Okay, so there's some overlap. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I mean they're overlapping, but still there is independence. So half of this is independent.
Yeah. All right. Good. So you can have a sense of independence. There some overlapping is there. Okay. And so we can write a few things about this. The red one is the enjoyership now. And the blue one is the doership. Okay, of course we know red is Purusha and blue is Prakriti. So here was the verse. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi. Oh no, where was that? Next verse now. Purusha Prakriti Sthohi Bhumte Prakritir Jan Gunan. By being overlapping with it now, what does it do? It enjoys seated in the Purusha. Since the Purusha is seated, therefore it enjoys the qualities born of nature. Okay, by its proximity. What is a good example of being in proximate and enjoying it? This is a very common example given in the Sankhya philosophy. The Purusha is like the magnet, and Prakriti is like the iron filings. Prakriti on its own doesn't have any energy or power to move, but being in proximate, close to the magnet, the magnetic field moves the iron filings. So all the activities of the Prakriti are really attributed only when the Purusha is there. And the Purusha, by making those changes, enjoys those changes that he is doing in Prakriti.
Yeah, but I mean, like the magnet, I mean, those things is within the power of the magnet. I mean, the distance you are away from it, but the further you are, that's why you got the boxes overlapping because.
Now that's good. It's that, so there's an overlap. The iron filings are within the magnetic field. The Prakriti is within the reach of Purusha. All right.
Yeah.
But the power comes from the Purusha, and the Prakriti moves, does all the things.
Yeah.
And
So
since carry on.
So what is within that like a magnetic field limit? That's what is that's only what is attracted, and that's what is enjoyed.
So in this, let us say there's a field of enjoyment here.
Yeah, there's the cover. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so now we go to that second part of that. So Purusha, since the Purusha is seated in Prakriti, therefore it enjoys the qualities born of nature. So example would be what? Okay.
What about bad qualities? I'm talking about qualities means good or bad. No?
Good, both. Everything enjoys.
The Purusha enjoys the evil as well.
Of course.
So that line you've drawn there is like an intersection. It's got both.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would be, so sukha dukkhanam, there are two types of qualities manifested now. All right, two types of experiences. Let us talk about that. Okay. And Purusha is really the cause of it also, because that source of happiness or bliss is of the nature, is in the nature of Purusha, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And the Purusha experiences has two types of experience. One is happiness, the other one is misery. How do you try to explain that? Prakriti is doing something, and in that process, sometimes Purusha is happy and sometimes he feels miserable.
But I mean, Sukha and Dukkha are simultaneous things. I mean, they go in
the
life.
Opposites. Yeah.
No, they're opposite, but they go together. I mean,
they coexist, more or less type of thing, as they say. But so at a particular level, you are say happy, okay, nice, and then something happens in Prakriti, in a life, everyday life, and so you feel the pain or misery or something. Okay, if you could have a very high powered microscope type of thing into your mind and say, hey, what was the change that happened in there? And I'm observing that now the state has changed to misery. He feels very pained and sad or something like that. And the next moment somebody says something nice or wins a lotto or something like that, and he's so happy. And then he says, hey, let me see what was the actual change that happened in his mind, where he's defining it. So this is misery, happiness. So, so does Prakriti create happiness? Let's ask the question.
Swamiji, I think the Prakriti, the Purusha doesn't, is never in a state of happiness or dukkha. It is just an observer of the feeling of happiness or the feeling of sadness, so to say. So within Prakriti, the happiness and sadness is being created, and we as Purusha, as in, if I do not connect myself with the ego, then I am just an observer of what's happening inside my mind, isn't it? Even if I win a lotto, I'm happy, but I'm not actually happy. I'm just observing that I'm happy. So my other side, the ego, is happy.
Yeah, so all right. Yeah, anyway, that's one. Anyone else? Come on, let's have some good discussion. This is an everyday experience. So we are talking about, things are happening now. We're just trying to do a little dissection and see what do we mean when we are happy, or what do we mean we are sad or depressed?
Change of mood. your mood just changes.
Changes, but we all are experiencing, hey, how does that mood change? When the mood changed, what happened really? So you have heard some sad news, and suddenly your mood became very, very down. All right. And then you hear some good news and you become very, very happy. So where is the change happening? It's definitely not happening in the Purusha. It's happening in Prakriti.
In the mind.
Yeah, okay.
The gunas of Prakriti, Rajasic, Sattvic, and Tamas.
Yes. So there's a lead there. Sweta is on the track, I think. So the changes are there. Changes are happening. And what?
So,
So are the part of the Prakriti? So it's happening within the Prakriti.
So let us say that You are a very handsome or beautiful person, but you have never seen yourself. You are one of the tribal fellows in, Papua New Guinea or Amazon basin. So you do not know how wonderful you look. And then somebody came and gave you a mirror. So have a look at yourself. So you as the Purusha are now looking in that mirror of Prakriti and you are seeing yourself, right? So the nature is reflecting something about you, but it's not doing a very honest job because there's some dust and dirt on that. So, and that layer of dust is either increasing or decreasing. All right? And that increasing and decreasing is now happening. So the three gunas are changing, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sometimes the mirror is very clean. That means your sattva guna is predominant. And at that moment, you see a nice reflection of yourself and you become happy. At other times, the tamas becomes more predominant and the mirror becomes covered with dust and you see a ghost of yourself in there. So, is that a good example?
Yes, Swami. I think the Purusha, when the gunas, how do I say it? As the shifting of the gunas keep happening, that's when the Purusha is seeing the
the 3 points are alternating. Or
mind, body, the ego. We see that, or how do I see it in the mind?
Yeah, so they say the quality, the predominance of the guna changes in the mind. All right.
Yeah.
And when there's a predominance of sattva, then the Purusha experience happiness. That means its own glory is revealed a little bit more and is happy. And when the gunas change around and tamas takes over or Rajas takes over, then he is not able to see himself. He can't enjoy his beautiful face, see? And he becomes a little miserable.
Swamiji, do gunas change by themselves or at times it is driven by events? For example, that mirror you talked about, if my mind will have different experience of myself depending on the mirror. So that event of bringing a mirror will probably affect the change of guna. So is it driven by nature at times?
Yeah, so this idea of guna is again a very little technical. Is it like three substances, white paint and black paint and red paint, like that? Sometimes it's denoted in three colors. White is sattvic, tamas is dark, and rajasic is colorful. Or one is transparent, a piece of glass that lets light through, that's sattvic. When it is totally opaque, then it's tamasic. And if it is colored, then it is rajasic. There are some type of representations are there. But basically, it is not any one of those fixed things. It's a changing thing by its inherent nature. They themselves change and then the combination and permutations change. And chapters, the last head of the Bhagavad Gita devotes a lot of time to analyze everything from the perspective of the three gunas so that we get an analysis of all those changes that are happening with us as a result of gunas. And they either hide the glory of the Atman or the Purusha, or either they reveal. As sattva element increases through sadhana, then you see a better and better reflection of yourself. And when the tamas increases,
Swamiji, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
No, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Now I can.
Okay. So, yeah. So, representing the three gunas, I was thinking hard, try to say what are the examples we can give that is known in modern science and things. One lead thing is this in our Vedic rishis, when they tried to give us these teachings, they made a framework, and they brought in this idea of Purusha and Prakriti, and then Prakriti is made of the three gunas of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and they tried to explain the whole creation, right from the ego to the buddhi, to the manas, to the five organs of action, knowledge, and the five elements, and the tanmatras, all these 24 cosmic principles, using that framework. There is another framework where they say what is called Prakriti is Shakti, and Shakti is power or energy. Okay, so if we use that type of representation, which is metta and energy, akasha and prana, that is another framework that Swami Vivekananda uses, and he talks about that in the introduction to the Raja Yoga, prana and psychic prana. That might be a bit more modern representation in another way of understanding the same teachings there. Anyway, as we go, maybe we'll do a better job improving this idea, but chew on it. Yeah, maybe next week we'll have something more to discuss on that. Let's proceed a little bit to the verse 21, second part, because that introduces a new idea. So the first was Purusha is now sthitat, is established or seated in Prakriti, and being in such positioned in such way, it enjoys bhungte. And bhungte here, enjoys doesn't mean it experiences is the word, not enjoys. It experiences the gunas of the which are produced by Prakriti.
Swamiji, the line says it's seated in Prakriti. That means is the whole thing in Prakriti, and it says therefore it enjoys the qualities born of Prakriti. Does it enjoy all the qualities?
You are the Purusha seated in Prakriti, tell me. Okay, let's analyze it then, because we are not talking about something out there. This is very much about our self-analysis that is happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's meant to make us reflect deeply within how we are constituted and how things happen within us. Okay, that's the whole idea, even of this representation. So is it totally seated, means is it totally overwhelmed, or is it covered by Prakriti?
I was just from the line.
So it is somehow also aware that is separate, isn't it?
You say just seated in Prakriti. It's not.
Yeah, so sometimes it feels it is seated, like you say, but then other times you don't say it's totally seated. So for example, when you say, I'm 50 kgs heavy, I'm a bit more than that. So if he says, I'm 50 kgs heavy, that means I have taken the quality of the weight of the body to myself. All right. That means totally it has identified. But when I say, I have a headache, okay, I'm not saying I am a headache. Some people might be a headache. Okay, when he says I have a headache, that means he says I am different from this pain that is in the head because it is something separate from me. Isn't it? In our everyday conversation?
Yeah.
So sometimes it becomes totally identified with the nature of Prakriti. Like you say, I am born. That means the body was born. You say, I am dying. That the body was dying. That is totally overwhelmed by the Prakriti nature. And I'm happy or unhappy. So there was a change in the mind. But I have totally taken all that and say the Purusha is happy or unhappy. But there are other times the Purusha maintains a little bit of distinction and says, those are changes happening in Prakriti. I'm close to it, so I'm affected by it, but really not. It's not really affecting me totally.
So our drawing is correct.
Yeah, basically we're saying they're separate, but it's still close enough to be affected by one another. Okay. It's only so it's in our everyday relationship. Okay, two people are there totally unknown. All right. Okay, so what is happening to one, and it doesn't affect the other. Or you were going to buy a car. There's a car in the showroom. The car is some material and you haven't paid for it. So suppose something happens to that car, does it affect you? No. Now, since you buy that car and somebody comes and scratches it, then does it cause you pain? Yes, because now you are related to it, isn't it? Whether it's a car or some person or something. So the moment we begin to identify ourselves with something, that something begins to make us dance to its music of happiness or misery by whatever change is happening in that person or that object. Agreed?
No.
You're still different from that person, but there's a connection and interrelationship as a result of which any change happening on the other entity has an impact on this first entity. Anything that's happening on the Prakriti is affecting the Purusha. And that's how I think there's plenty of examples in your own everyday life you see. We've got so many connections and so many things make us happy and miserable, while they're not really happening to us, but it's happening to them, but it makes us, it affects us. Okay, so the next one is, are we ready to proceed?
No.
Okay, the next one is Karanam Guna Sango Asya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu. So Karanam, the cause. Guna Sango. Sangha means contact, something coming in contact with other. Contact with the gunas of nature, guna sangha. Okay, that means you are coming in Prakriti, and Prakriti made of the three gunas, and now you are coming in contact with the gunas. So coming in contact with the gunas is the karan of what? Asya, it's here. Asya means the Purushas. Janmasu, births in good and evil wombs. That means you are born in different bodies. Evil would be animal or some lower life form where the true nature of the Purusha is totally overwhelmed. There's very little manifestation of consciousness or bliss or knowledge in the lower life forms. So that is called evil wombs, animal nature or something like that. And very good would be you are born as gods. That's not the perfect one, not the excellent one, because you still will have to come back into the human form. But between these two, we shuttle forth good and bad. So contact with the gunas is the cause of birth of the Jivatman in good and evil wombs.
So, Swamiji, what is womb here? Is the womb meant by body or the mother?
Womb means anything that has produced you here. Okay, it doesn't mean only anything like a tree is produced from the seed.
Garbha.
You know, the whole combination of things. The mother Shakti, in which the child is formed and is born, and you have a body, but that womb, the receptacle is necessary. Otherwise, you don't get a body, basically.
So just to follow up on that, so the good and evil womb is essentially
no, it's so don't take it that the mother is good and evil. Okay, who's giving birth to that? That's wrong. That means the body that you will assume will produce, or the body,
it could imply, Swamiji, be it a plant or an animal womb.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Sort of general terms. Yeah.
Lower life form and higher
life form. Yeah.
Okay, so if we have got too much of papa karma or something, then the tamogun is very high, and our karmas will make us be born as a sheep or cow or whatever. Okay, and if it's good karma and all those things, sattva guna is predominant, then you are born in it's a holy family, pure parents, spiritual, and all those type of things are there.
Okay.
Sad asad yoni janmasu. Janmasu means we are in the cycle of birth. So this talks about the cause of rebirths and what are the criteria that sort of determines where one is born. So what is the cause? Contact with the gunas. Guna sango asya. 3 gunas. And if we have too much of sattva, then it gives you in a good birth. And if we have got too much tamas, then we are born in the lower life forms. And if there's a sort of a balance, then you are born as a human being.
So, Swamiji, this refers to gunas in the past life. So what does it mean by we here? As in, whose guna is being considered here?
The individual's guna. So everyone is a bundle of 3 bodies, let us say, okay? Gross body, subtle body, causal body. And all the 3 bodies are products of gunas. When we die, we shed off the gross body, we have the subtle body and the causal body, in which our prarabdha and all those things are embedded, our desires, which are called vasanas, are embedded. They don't die when the physical body dies. They carry on in the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira is made out of the Tanmatras and Man, Buddhi, Ahankara. We have talked about that. So, all the actions that are done with the help of the gross body, one is a good person, nice, kind, charitable, and all that, he's accumulating impressions which are called samskaras, which are left on the subtle body. And so if a person has done plenty of those type of things, then he drops the physical body. When he is going to be born again, and so the Jivatma is deciding, okay, where am I going? All right. Really, he is not going to sit down and make a choice there, because everyone will want to have the good one. According to the disposition of the subtle body, he will be attracted to a family or a parent or a particular species that is what's the word, appropriate to manifest those gunas. So if his karma and everything is suppose somebody is very evil, violent, and all the wrong things he does, then he will be born in a lower animal form where he has to work those karmas out. This is a little bit of what you call the philosophy of dualism, where we say, okay, if you do very good, you become a god, you go to heaven, there you enjoy all the good things. In heaven, you can only enjoy and you cannot create new karma. Or if one has been very, very bad, he goes in an animal form, there he suffers and he tries to work out those bad karmas, but he doesn't create any new karma. Either way, from gods you will come down to human, or from animal you will rise to human. The human birth is called karma bhumi. This is where one can work out one's salvation. And for that reason, the human birth is very, very valuable. It's even more valuable than that of gods.
Swamiji, can you repeat that part around animals and humans? So animals cannot do any karma, and they can only
they don't do any fresh karma. Okay, that their actions do not generate any new karma for them. They just work things out. And gods also, they do not do any new karma. They just simply enjoy. So like you work very hard and you earn plenty of money, and then you go into one of those resorts on the islands, and what do? You simply sit down. You don't do any work. You just enjoy all the nice time, good food, sunshine, and whatever is there. And when your money is over, they pack you on the boat and send you to the mainland. Okay, over. So a human being with a lot of good karma goes to heaven, enjoys all those things, fine food, whatever is there, subtle enjoyments. And when he has exhausted his good karma, Shina Punye Marte Lokam Vishanti. Shina means when his punya is all exhausted, then he, Vashanti means he descends to the Marte Loka in the human plane. Likewise, the animal also, suppose somebody is born as a sheep, the sheep whatever he's doing, he's just trying to exhaust his bad karma he has done. He will not create any new karma. Karma attaches itself when there's a sense of doership. I am the doer, and then the result comes to you. So as a human being, if you can master the art of doing things without the doership, so that is called non-attached action. That is what karma yoga is. Or you do actions, but you say, I'm not the real doer, I'm only an instrument. I surrender the result of this work to the divine. The divine is the doer only. Either way, you don't want to attach yourself to the good and the bad result of any action that comes. In that way, we don't tie ourselves to the results. And if we can master that, then Prakriti simply falls off, because she needs that ego and the doership to hold on to bind us. Okay. So Karanam Guna Sangha Asya Sad Asad Yoni Janmusi. So Sad is good, auspicious, propitious, nice experience. Asad, evil, Yoni, wombs, means different types of life forms we can talk about, spanning from animals, plants. It can be even lower than that, can be made into a stone also, like that. So all this spans around, and the cause, the important thing here is we want to understand what is the cause of this coming and going, and the cause is contact with the gunas. So the Prakriti is there with the three gunas happily rolling around. Our problem is we try to touch with it, touch it. It's like hot frying pan, the frying pan is hot, it's all right if you do not touch it. When you touch it, then you get burnt. So don't touch the Prakriti. Keep your distance. Keep separate. That's why it's called, what is it called? Kshara? Akshara, no, they call it Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. Kshetra is the Prakriti, Kshetrajna is the Purusha, and you want to now disconnect them and abide in your own self, basically. How's that? Good?
Yeah.
Okay, we have covered the three gunas, three things, three verses with some drawings. So homework, I'll just very quickly in a minute or two go and say, everyone please think verse 22 and 23. So he who is the witness, the permitter, the sustainer, the experiencer, the great Lord, and who is also spoken as a transcendental self, is the supreme person in this body. So they have introduced a new entity in there. Purusha was the Prakriti was nature, Purusha is the Jiva. And now in this particular verse, the transcendental self, the Paramatma, has been introduced. So our question would be now, where would we put the Paramatma in the drawing that we have been doing today? That's the thinking for today, next week. And he says, he who knows thus the self, nature, along with the gunas, will not be born again in whatever way he may live. So some incentive is given to cultivating this knowledge of the distinction between the self and nature along with the gunas. And in ignorance we are born, with knowledge we are liberated. So that's the whole idea, to cultivate this knowledge, not only ideas in the head, but to feel that knowledge in our everyday life and maintain the distinction from whatever changes that are happening in Prakriti. So from verse 34, the methods will be talked about, how this dhyana and karma and all those type of methods are there by which this distinction will happen. So next week we will do this to verses 22nd and 23rd, where the Paramatma has been introduced. That would be the new and to verse Sutra 23. All right. Think about it. Draw that sketch on your own. in different ways, and the more you process it, that exercise of processing in your own way, munching over it, and say, oh, maybe we can do it better this way, that way, introduce that Paramatma in there. So the next week when we meet, you have some very clear, good ideas, and we can build up on what we did today. All right, so let us offer it to the divine. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tassat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.